Right, hopefully we are live. Hopefully we're live. I've not done an introduction, so it's just straight into it, guys. We are joined by Arwin, Nathan Oakley, and Spurs Chemo. We've also got the Adam Meakin waiting. Unfortunately, my cam isn't working, so that's why you're not getting to see my beautiful face on camera right now, and I'm sure you're all very pleased about that. But in the meantime, we've been having a heated debate before we actually went live. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about this, Chemo?
So I guess I don't get an introduction then.
Shoot!
No.
The plain truth, man. You're not showing up. You're not showing up in those little boxes at the top.
It's okay. I understand.
So sorry, man. The plain truth is here as well.
La 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 la. What out?
So yeah, you were saying, Chemo.
And there's Adam.
Sorry, yeah. So we were just talking about yesterday in the Discord after Nathan left. I think the term "boy" was used, and I think in America that's a racial slur or term or something like this to that effect. I mean, I've heard about it, but it's not something that's used here in England for racism or something like that. So I think what was said, Nathan was speaking with Kosho, then Nathan was doing what Nathan does, and then he used the term "boy." Like, what did you say exactly, Nathan? Demonstrate something, boy, or something like that. I mean, I don't want to put words in the mouth, but the idea was boy was used, and because Kosho is black, I think Twit took this as a racist slur or something to that effect. Am I coming through?
Yeah. Nathan,
yeah.
Did you...
Sorry, I was talking to my wife. I wasn't paying attention. What did you say?
Sounds like it's some kind of snowflake bullshit that they're trying to do you with, Nathan, rather than the content of what you talk about.
Oh, yeah, yes. The thing. Yeah, Anthony told me about it this morning. Yeah, I don't know. If boy's a racist term, and I didn't know that, and the context I used it in was to be implying that he's a boy. It's quite literal.
Nathan, did you say it like foghorn leghorn? I say boy. Did you say it like that, or did you say it like an English person would say it?
The other thing is, it was news to me that Kosho's black, because I didn't know that. I actually, for the longest time, thought he was Lewis. So I even said to him, "You're Lewis." So I actually thought he was a white guy at the very least. So this is all news to me.
Yeah, but again, I think in America, is Travis here? Yeah, he's from America. Yeah. So Travis, I mean, and again, for me, it's some of it's not that's used here as a racial. But in America, I mean, you can probably tell us more about this term "boy," how it's used, why it's used, or something.
Well, all I could say is if you've seen any of the older movies, it might be something in a movie where it would be a racial slur, and like Adam pointed out with the foghorn leghorn backhanded racial slur in a cartoon, but anything recent, you know what I mean? It would be very antiquated if someone were to call a black man boy. I mean, that it would either be a deliberate racial slur, or it would be a statement out of ignorance, like Nathan would have used it, just in terms of showing immaturity. But the way that it's been presented to us in the media, it's a racial slur, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't think I've ever heard it used here in that context. It's all, I always imagine like a teacher saying it or something like this.
Exactly, Spurs. To put it in a British context, it's a condescending, patronising tone to imply an inferiority in your listening to your teacher, boy. Listen. And so to apply any kind of snowflake fucking bullshit, it's just a distraction technique to
that's exactly what I said. That was the context it was put in, because pretty much the previous sentence was to say, I'm not asking you to give me your opinion. I am now telling you, sit down, boy. As in, I'm the teacher, you're the student, listen up. That was made explicitly clear in the previous sentence. But there we go. People like to be hysterical about these things.
I think they're probably conflating, because it's nothing new. I mean, this is the way you approach the argument. So any word that you might use, like you, if in a country where they say you, someone might say, oh, that sounds offensive. So, I mean, again, for me, the word boy is not. Here, in America, I understand, in America, they would call the black adults, the slaves or something like this, boy. But again, here, I don't think that's the case.
May I ask a question to the panel? Did Kosho see it like this? Did he even realize any of this, or is this just something that was just a gossip?
No, Kosho said it was offensive, but he didn't see it as racist.
Right, so then what are we really talking about but a bunch of rumors that got out of control once again?
I'll tell you who's made this accusation that because what you've got there is reverse racism. What you've got is the presumption that because Nathan is white and he has used this word, because of his skin colour and he's used that word, they've then defined through their prejudice that the meaning of that is in some way, because he's white, he must therefore be patronising in a racial way this person that he has no idea about their racial origin. Yeah, it's just complete and utter prejudice on the behalf of whoever's made the allegation, and it'll inform prejudice because it's not been contextualised correctly in the correct continent.
But I think what Twit's saying, but just to I think like culture differences and stuff, So I mean, again, here it's not the same thing, but over there it's something. It's a thing.
So it's prejudice on her behalf, then, isn't it? She's prejudged Nathan and applied her standards over there, and applied them to Nathan, and that's just something that should be apologised for. I'd take that back because to a white male, those sorts of things are you see, a lot of the time they're very harmful, and they're used in naughty ways, aren't they? And this would seem one of those. And if I'd felt the need to make a statement like that, and then I'd had it contextualised and my ignorance being highlighted, then certainly knowing what a harmful thing and an accusation it is, you should have the good grace to quickly and swiftly apologise, in my opinion.
Okay. Well, that's all I've got to say on the matter. I think it was probably taken out of context, but yeah.
Don't you think they're just stirring drama, though? Do you think that's more likely the point? They probably knew that in the UK, when you say boy and you sort of say it to a man, you're trying to sort of bring them down a peg or two. It's nothing racist.
Yeah, because like I say, white people say it to white people. That's what I mean. Teachers say it to children, to students, all the time. Well, they did at least. But again, I think what we're being asked, I don't know. I think is to appreciate that on that side of the pond. I don't know, but I mean, that side is that kind of thing is offensive. So.
But then again, I don't think we shouldn't change the way we speak. We shouldn't change the way we speak to accommodate what people in a different country may interpret that to mean.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm just saying that. I'm just yeah.
What do you say, Nathan? You keep coming off mute there.
No, nothing. I've got nothing to add. I was just going to slip jokes in. Probably a good thing that I couldn't get a word in.
Yeah, I have one on the mind as well, but.
Oh, you can go ahead. Go ahead, Kimo. Sorry, Kimo. Arwin. If you've got a joke.
Nah. Too
What's
far.
This? A sample of a vacuum. What have we got here? Who's presenting?
That's me. I am. Yes. I just want to have a look at this. You can see he's showing the screen.
Yeah, you're sharing. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a very short video. So
no, just scrub through it.
Okay. So, yeah. So what it looks to me, I mean, I don't know if I can be corrected, but it looks to me like the cork is in a chamber. It looks like they've removed the gas pressure inside, and the cork has reduced in size. And then obviously they return. You can see the gas is being returned, and it goes back to its original size. Does anyone disagree with that?
What's your question, Spurs?
That if anyone disagrees with what the observations that we see.
Well, it's on screen
object?
for us. It's on screen for us to see, Spurs. What are you asking? Are we going to deny the evidence of our own eyes? No.
Yeah, because I know how nonsensical this sounds, but I showed it to the Ball Earthers, and they say that it should get bigger if you remove the atmosphere. They think the cork should expand for some reason. And I'm just trying to ask, you guys, what do you do? You think this is being added, or do you think they've?
You've already told us. So were you lying?
No, it's not my video. I'm saying, but what does it look like to the observer?
But you've told us what's happening. Unless you're lying.
No. I'm saying to me, it looks like there's a cork in a chamber. It looks like they've removed the gas. It looks like that, and then it looks like they add the gas back, and it goes back to its original size.
Well, cork is mainly buoyant anyway, isn't it? It's full of air.
Hold on, Ranty. He's got a point to make. He's just beating around the bush because he made it as a statement. Now he's saying that it's his presumption, so he's changed his position. Now make your question or statement, Spurs. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm saying, does anyone disagree with with the observation? To me, I'm saying it looks like that the cork is going from high pressure, regular pressure, to lower pressure, reducing in size. And then we're adding the pressure, and then the cork is going back to the original size. I'm just asking if that is what we ought observe.
Well, nobody's disagreeing yet. We just want to know where it's going.
Yeah, if you say so, Spurs.
Yeah, I mean, if we changed it to a straw, right? If you had a drinking straw and you plugged up the one end and you sucked the air out, it would compress. And then if you opened the one end, it would then contract. That's all we're seeing here, right?
Well, no. Well, not necessarily, because a piece of cork has got quite a lot of air dispersed in between the physical mass that's a solid. So based on that, I mean, my assumption would be actually just to play along the other way around, because this is presumably what you're fishing for, and I'm sick of it. So the gas that's dispersed within the cork, as you suck the air out, would presumably force its way out, making the cork bigger. There you go. Is that what you were fishing for, Spurs?
I don't know. I'm just asking questions.
Okay, I have another idea about it. So I think that first the air is being sucked out of it. Then the air in between the cork will leak out. Then they suddenly let the air back in. It rushes back in, but it can't really fill up the pores of the cork so far. So it gets crushed, and then gradually it gets back into shape as the air sinks back in. How about that?
So,
yeah, I mean, that's what I'm asking. That you see the same thing I see. You have an interpretation. I'm just asking for interpretations. Do we see the same thing? Is what I'm saying.
You've had a couple. So what's the point in all this, Spurs?
Is because we're told that we live in gas pressure. So I would assume that if we were to go into a lower environment where the pressure is low, like this, then the cork would act accordingly and shrink.
Spurs, you realise if you went into an environment like that your tongue would boil?
Yeah, but
Okay.
If I was in this environment, of course, yeah.
So what's the point?
The cork, it's shrinking in lower pressure.
Why do you think it's shrinking?
I don't
In
know.
lower pressure?
What's cork made of?
Oh, is that higher pressure?
Yeah, it's a sudden release of pressure back in the room, which will be probably sudden, and wham, It gets crushed because the pores in between can't fill up with air quick enough. But eventually it gradually sinks back in. That's why it grows slowly. It's
Right.
exactly what it looks
Hold on,
like.
hold on. I can tell by Adam's tone, he knows what he's talking about. So let's let Adam talk, eh?
Yeah, I'm kind of waiting for this too.
Now, all I'm trying to find out is this cork now at atmospheric pressure 14.7.
Is it in right, Spurs? The question probably more pertinently is: are you asking, is the cork sat in an environment where its pressure is the outside environment is 14.7, or is the internal matrix structure of the cork cells, are they containing a pressure of 14.7?
No, the atmosphere. We're only talking about the atmosphere
Well, what about the cells inside as well at the same time? All the air that's packed inside that cork, which is like a spongiform cellular structure, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very soft and squidgy thing that's not really solid. It's just got loads and loads of air holes running between it, hasn't it?
Okay.
Right. And those air holes, when they're full up, they constitute part of the rigidity of the structure, don't they?
Okay.
Without air in them and the pressure on the outside and the supporting air inside, then the structure itself is composed partly, the way it's formed, of that air pressure internally, yeah?
Okay.
So, first of all, you take the air pressure away on the outside. Now, as I said, it's not a sealed unit, is it? It's not. It's got all those air things used to be part of a much bigger organism, so they would run into somewhere else, but we've cut it out to look like a cork. So there's lots of little micro holes running all the way through that. So when you then start to suck the air from the outside, because you've taken the pressure outside, guess what will happen? That the gas within this structure, slowly, because they're very small holes, so the rate of escape is going to be reduced by the aperture. It's going to start to come out, so the air will come out of the cork. That would be my guess. Nathan said, I know. I'm not guessing. I'm just using basic assumption on what you're telling me is occurring, that's...
I'm just asking questions. I'm saying now, this is without air, this cork, in this state.
Right.
That's what I'm asking. So I'm asking, outside here is lower pressure.
No. Inside the cork, there used to be loads of air, didn't there? And
but I'm saying
supporting, it was supporting part of the structure. Is that air there now?
But I'm asking about this region.
Yeah, well, that's what we're trying to get to, aren't we? So is that air inside the cork anymore? Supporting the internal structure?
No.
So if we take that away, right, and we therefore know there's no pressure differential between the inside and the outside of the cork, because we've evacuated the whole chamber and now the cork, yeah, then the only conclusion, logical thing you could say, is that the internal air pressure also forms a constituent part of the rigidity of the structure.
Yeah, but I only want to talk in terms of high or low pressure.
Well, it's the same inside the cork, in all those micro tubes, that all those all the bits of gaps in the cork that used to be full of air now aren't, and neither is the chamber.
Yeah,
it's like it's been crushed.
The pressure inside this chamber.
No, there's no crushing occurring in terms of atmospheric crushing. What you're seeing is a collapse of the internal structure caused by the lack of air pressure within the structure.
You realise Spurs has already given the game away, because when I tried to put him to task, he said, well, they claim we've got air pressure here. And when he said that, I could hear the corners of his mouth turning up.
Well, the assumption is the analogy of seeing a Coke can crush, isn't it? When you were to evacuate the inside or the tin. But that's not what, to me, is occurring, because you've got an equalisation of pressure. You're not got a pressure differential there. That cork isn't a sealed unit. Like I said, it's full of holes.
I'm asking outside and inside the container, is it what's high, which is low? So is it low inside this container and
obviously,
high out?
Yeah, low inside, high outside. High pressure because there's presumably an evacuation taking place. So you've evacuated some of the pressure, and then you've got a differential between the inside of that chamber and the outside gas pressure.
That's what I'm asking. That's what I was asking very simply. I was saying this cork has gone from regular pressure, what we have now, 14.7, to a lower pressure now, and it's shrunk. That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Are we observing
So
the same thing? That's all.
So
if we lived in gas pressure and we took this cork up in altitude, the cork should also shrink. That would follow logically. Like, this is low pressure. You take it up into low pressure, the cork shrinks.
Yeah, probably would by a microscopic amount. So what?
Why microscopic?
Because you've not evacuated all of the pressure. If you take it up to a higher altitude, you've still got some pressure inside it.
And
we know how much pressure. We've got 14.7 here. Above Mount Everest, it's 5 psi. 100,000 feet, it's 0 point something. And obviously, you go further and further, you wouldn't get a reading, right?
Spurs, what's the order of magnitude between 14 and 5?
No, hold on, Adam. What do you mean we go a bit further and we wouldn't get a reading? No.
What would happen?
What do you mean? What would happen? What
So
wouldn't happen?
14,
Hold on. Don't ask me what. Don't burden proof reversal fallacy me. No, you made an assertion. You'd keep going, and then you wouldn't get a reading. That's incorrect. So you're saying you'd reach a region that had no gas pressure, a void without pressure, that the pressure below you could be filling. No, that wouldn't happen, Spurs.
So what would happen?
I don't care. Not what wouldn't happen is you wouldn't have the void you claimed when you said you keep going and not get a reading. That's incorrect. I don't care what happens. That's not what happened. That's your claim, not mine.
Yeah, but here, this reading tells us 0 pressure, yeah, inside this chamber.
That's nice.
So if we take our barometer or gauge pressure where it gives us the same reading, then it tells us 0 pressure.
Sorry. So you're saying because it says 0 in there, you go up to the sky and it says 0? Why? Why would you make such a claim? That's completely nonsensical.
Well, how do we know there's pressure then?
So what do you mean? I've just told you. You're not going to reach a point where there's a void that the gas that's moving at high velocity could fill but doesn't fill. That's a violation of a natural law, the second law of thermodynamics. Entropy would increase. The gas would fill that space. You're not going to reach a region that doesn't have a reading. That won't happen.
The gas can't reach if there is no energy or temperature for it to reach.
But what the hell is this? No energy or temperature. The gas just fills whatever space it's got to fill, Spurs. End of story.
Not always.
Always. It's a natural law. What do you mean not always? Yeah, law of nature, mate. Gas will fill the space. Law of nature. Yeah, it will always do that. Always, without exception. Ever. You're never going to show me that not happening. Yeah, it will always happen. How many different ways do you want me to say this? You're wrong.
Well, this is a great example, Spurs, of the gas filling the volume. It's a fantastic example that even when within, as I've discussed, the very small spaces, because you're evacuating at orders of magnitude, the atmospheric air, the air pressure that's the same contained within the structure quickly evacuates out and collapses the cork. It's orders of magnitude. If you go up to Mount Everest, so what? It's just a little bit less air pressure. The rate of evacuation has got no magnitude to... you're not pulling everything away for any surface area contact with the vacuum to allow the stuff that's contained with the very small surface area of absorption into the atmosphere and the cork to allow... At 14 to 5, it makes no bloody difference. It's so slow. There's still plenty of other molecules to rebound any escaping gas molecules back. When you're in a vacuum chamber, there's nothing there to rebound them back. So they come out, and every single collision is outwards because it just there's nothing kicking it back. So once it's on an outward path, it goes. And this is really, really powerful example of what will happen in terms of if you encounter a vacuum because of way gases behave, because they behave randomly and move in all directions. If there isn't any containing gas pressure, then they instantly fill the available volume. And in this case, they fill the volume, they're sucked out, and the cork collapses, Spurs.
Yeah, it's a visualization of the gas fucking off.
Okay, so
basically, just one last thing before you go, Spurs. We are joined by Elijah. Elijah, are you there, mate? You were in the chat before, and you wanted to jump on the panel to say hello.
Oh, hey guys, yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so just to respond to Adam there, hi Elijah. At 30,000 feet, if a person were to climb Everest, they would suffer problems with breathing because there's no air. Yes, is that supposed to be the case?
No, there is air. No, there is. There is air there.
So why do people have trouble breathing?
Because there's less air.
Yeah, there's less air, less pressure. Yeah.
So not no air then.
Yeah, less air than what there is down on the earth. So it would make sense. The higher you go, the less the air would get. So
yeah, maybe.
Let this roll, Nathan. Let's just get on with it because this is.
Yeah. So we've got a corkscrew entering above 30,000 feet. We've got the cork here as a reminder what happens in lower pressure. We reach 100,000 feet where I've got the chart here somewhere. Yeah, there we go. Good, back there. So we've got the chart there, 100,000 feet, it's got 0 psi. So the corkscrew doesn't seem to shrink in low pressure.
Sorry, it hasn't got 0 psi. What are you talking about?
Yeah, John says the barometer gives you a pressure reading.
Right. Maybe we should explain.
So at 130,000 feet, it would read 0 pressure.
So just put the chart back on. It didn't read 0 pressure.
It's ridiculous.
So either you can't read Spurs.
Nave, can we just play this? Because it's kind of inconsequential as to what's dynamically happening here, but let's just play it.
Fine.
Let him have a low pressure. It doesn't really matter. It helps the point of what's occurring.
Yeah, so we've got a pressure of 8, 6, 5, 4, 2, 1, 0.
No, 0.6, 0.2, 0.1.
Yeah, 0.1. And what's next? At 130,000 feet? This is 100,000 feet. What's next?
Maybe 0.1. Maybe then 0.01.
Yeah, and then what's that 200,000 feet?
Who knows? I don't know. I've never been to 200,000 feet, but definitely not 0.
Yeah, but logically speaking...
not logically speaking. That would be illogical because it violates a natural law. If there was a gas, it will want to fill the available volume, Spurs.
Yeah, how can it if the gases are frozen? How's that possible?
If gases don't freeze, Spurs, that would be a change of state. That would be a gas changing into a different state if it's capable of doing it at a different temperature. But it's not a gas then, is it?
So what gases are up here now then?
I don't know, Spurs. But what
you're saying there are gases.
Spurs, you're burden of proof reversal fallacy again. Yeah, I don't know or care. What I do know is it's not 0. About the 5th time I've said it.
It's not 0 now.
No, it's not. No.
There's helium here, so now it's not 0. But what other gases are around?
Who cares? Not 0, though, is it?
Please just press play, Spurs.
What gases have you measured to know there's gases here? How do you know there are gases?
Because if that's the space the gases can fill, they're going to fill it. It's the second law of thermodynamics. It's called entropy.
Here are the gases.
Yeah, players
moving at high velocity. It's just like I try and answer, and he carries on.
Yeah, but the gases are here, aren't they?
Yeah, he's still doing it. It's called the second law of thermodynamics. Entropy isn't going to be halted. Now, you're saying the gas is going to freeze. Well, then maybe it will change state and then become more dense and fall back to Earth. Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. But that doesn't mean that there's a void that the gas isn't filling.
So what is this area?
Why is he constantly interrupting me? I still haven't got to the end of this sentence once, Spurs. You're just dumb. If you don't want to hear it, Just stop
Well,
interrupting
you're blind,
me.
Damon.
I'm not blind.
You,
You won't
you
have
are
it.
blind. What gases other than the helium and
Who
the Earth
cares?
gases?
It's not relevant. There
Can
is
I
not
interject?
a
A
void.
gradient is secondary, Spurs Chemo. It's
I'd
secondary
like to
to
see the
being in a
Reversing the burden of
conversation.
proof. All he's doing, he's done it 4 times, is reverse
but-
the burden of proof. No, I'm
Spurs,
not
can
going
we get to the end of the fucking video?
I'm not going to make a claim about what gas is there.
Yeah,
You're
let
claiming
me-
there's a void,
We've
and
got
there
one,
is not.
We've got
Go ahead,
two,
Elijah.
we've got three.
You have to jump in hard, Elijah, if
Spurs.
you want to get your word in. Go ahead,
So
Elijah.
we can
All
observe.
right, this is my
we can
time on your
observe
show. So I didn't
gas
want to be
one.
rude. And
We
second
can
of all,
see
it's my
pressure
first time
here,
using
and we can see a pressure.
Spurs
Hey,
isn't
look,
going to shut up.
like,
Spurs is doing a
here's the
rumpus.
point.
Spurs will not shut
Spurs-
up.
Yeah, here's the point, Spurs. When you ask the question, we give you an answer. The answer is we don't know what's up at 200,000 feet.
Yeah,
you
we
can't
do.
turn that we
We
don't
do.
know
Yes, we
to
do. We
a
can see
you
it.
know.
We can see
No,
it
we
right
don't.
here.
No, we don't. We know.
Are
we,
you blind?
we only know that the pressure is less. Listen, what we know is the pressure is less. What you speculate
There you
is
go.
what
There's
happens
2,000
after.
feet. What's up
That's
there?
the difference.
Open
Spurs,
your
you've
eyes,
interrupted
guys.
every single
Wanna
word that he
you're-
just
you're
said.
speculating.
What is
Spurs,
up there? Can't you
Spurs,
see what is
Spurs,
there?
Spurs, you've interrupted every single word he said. You didn't listen to a word he said. You talked through everything he said. What gives, Spurs? You don't want to communicate with us. You want to dictate to us.
No,
You're
I'm saying to you, I'm
rumpusing.
asking you
You're
a
doing it
question.
now. You're
Yeah, I'm
doing it
asking you a
right
very
now.
simple
Spurs,
question. Got
Spurs, I'm in the
gas.
middle of a sentence.
Where is the available
Spurs,
space?
Spurs, you don't need to rumpus me with the same question. We've heard you talk over everyone else
Right, so
16
then you
times.
can't answer the question.
Shut up.
Elijah
Stop
answered the
talking
question.
over me.
Elijah,
You're in the middle of a
where
sentence,
is the
Spurs.
available space and where
Right,
is this gas?
Ranty, I'm going to go because you've got an intolerable
Yeah,
guest
come
that
on,
will not
Spurs.
shut up.
Come on, Spurs. Let
So
him,
either you take control of your intolerable guest, or I'm just going to sod off because I'm not getting to get to your other guest. Elijah's not getting to have a full sentence. I'm not getting to have a full sentence. He will not shut his mouth.
Do you know what I'd like to see? I'd like to see Spurs play the end of the video, make his claim, and then we'll debunk it. I think
He's made it. He's made it. There's a void of empty space. That is his claim.
Is that your claim there, Spurs, ultimately?
No, I have 3 questions that I put on
Yeah,
the video.
it is. You said it 3 times, 0, and then backtrack
I
when you
said
pointed
the
at it.
first question: how isn't the gas filling the available space? Why is it just still?
Sorry,
like
it
a cloud?
is. You
Why
dumb
is it-
fuck.
why
Are you
is it just-
stupid or deaf? It
why is
is.
it just
It
still
is.
like a
Why are
cloud?
you assuming this?
Which
What-
direction
Shut up.
is the available
Stop talking.
space?
I'm answering you. You
And
asked
how
the
did
question.
the cork stay
He
on
won't
there
shut
without?
up. Ranty,
Okay,
can you
right. So
take charge of him?
we've got the 3 questions on screen.
I can read. I can
Right.
read. I can read, Spurs. How isn't the gas filling the available volume? You stupid dumb fuck. It is.
Which direction is it filling it?
It is. It's
Which
called
direction?
a natural law. Spurs, listen to the words and repeat them after me. It is going to fill the available volume. It's called the second law of thermodynamics.
Doesn't look
Repeat
like that
back.
to me. It doesn't look like that to me. It looks like it's like a
Look.
cloud.
Sorry, can you see gas?
Yeah, and it's not filling any
Sorry,
space.
can you see gas?
Yeah, and it's not filling
You
any
can.
space.
You can see invisible gas, can you?
I can see helium here. Yeah.
No, you can't.
I think everybody can see the helium
You
here.
can't see that invisible gas. You cannot see it.
I can't see the invisible. I can see the gas
Right,
here.
so you don't know what's in the space, and I can tell you now it's gas. It's a
So
natural
which way
law,
is this
Spurs.
gas going then?
I've
Which
had
way did
enough.
it fill?
Your first question assumes gas
Can't
isn't
answer
filling the
question,
space.
Nathan.
You're talking through me while I point out that you're wrong. You're doing a rumpus. Now listen closely.
Well, Rumpus
You
doesn't have a demonstration. I've got a demonstration.
You're rumpusing me. Stop it, Spurs. Your first statement
Direction.
is incorrect.
Really,
Right,
Kimo,
Ranty,
that was bad.
Ranty,
That
I
was-
can't seem
that was bad
to
then.
address him. I can't seem to
Nah,
address him. He won't
He's
shut
just
up.
trolling. He's trolling
Yeah,
us
he
now.
just won't shut up long enough for me to address him. As soon as I start, he'll start interrupting me again.
Kimo, can you give him 30 seconds to make his point, please?
Yeah,
Okay,
shut
go
the
ahead.
fuck up.
Go ahead.
No, don't give me permission. Just shut the
Yes,
fuck
just
up.
go ahead if
Shut
you want
up.
to say something. Otherwise, let
Stop
Elijah
fucking
answer the
talking.
question.
Right, I'm out of here. Ranty, the guy's a cunt. You're a cunt. You hear me? You're a cunt. Shut the fuck up. Your first statement in your question, how isn't the gas filling the space, is wrong, you stupid fuck.
How do you
It
work
is.
that out?
Why can't you shut your fucking mouth?
You just said that is stupid.
Shut up.
How is that stupid?
Shut the fuck up. Are
Yeah,
you
but explain
dumb?
yourself.
Are
then.
you
How is
still
that
fucking
stupid?
talking?
Because
You're
you
a
can't
dumb
make
fuck.
that positive claim. You can't
Just-
make that positive claim that there is no matter where you're trying to say there is no matter.
Right, he
You can't
stated
say
in
that.
his
Not
first question,
positively. You can
how
only speculate.
isn't the gas filling the space. It is. It's an incorrect assertion. It's a malformed question. The question defies a natural law. He's just wrong. He doesn't understand how the natural law works. He doesn't appreciate what entropy is. Otherwise, he wouldn't form a question that asks why gas isn't filling the space. The dumb fuck doesn't understand how gas works.
Well, for me, it's very clear. The gas looks like a cloud, static.
Looks!
It's not rushing
It's
anywhere.
fucking gas!
So
Look!
now he's interrupting me.
Yeah, because you're
What's
talking
going on?
about how
Is
gas
this-
looks. Gas
Look,
doesn't look anything.
Is this
Gas-
bottle over the? Is this
So what
bottle over the
we have
gas
two
that you
problems
think it's not
with this
over?
gas
Because
pressure idea.
if the glass you're talking about, but if the glass or if that bottle that you're talking about is in no pressure like you think it is,
Yeah.
how is it floating?
It's not floating. It's falling now back to earth.
What is the gas that what is the gas that brought it there doing with no gas there? Like, how is it there and not there at the same time?
What?
Like, how
It's
could it
not.
be floating into a space that doesn't exist? Is what I'm asking. Right. It's of course it's
It doesn't exist. What do you mean it doesn't exist? Of course it exists. We can see it. There's the sky.
how is the bottle floating into a space that you would explain as a place with no pressure?
That's why it bursts.
But the
Yeah.
fact that the bottle is there, yeah, but you see what I'm saying? The balloon that's bringing it there is floating into the region you say is impossible for it to be because there's nothing there.
Yeah, you can't go any higher. You can't go 200,000. You can't go up to here, can you? Up here
Ranty,
is
can I just
I
ask you
don't-
a
It's all
question?
useless.
Because I just
First
need a
Kim
bit
was
of
just
clarity,
trying to
guys.
confuse us all.
that
Please,
balloon
just-
went up
just-
to this height.
Spurs. I just need a bit of clarity because I'm a little lost here. Can you just go back to the image and show me when you're talking about gas being released? Are you talking about the powder there that lines the balloon?
This stuff here.
Yeah, that's the powder that lines the balloon to stop it sticking together. It's like latex, isn't it? So
Oh, you
it's
think that-
powdered. That's not gas. That's powder matter that's come
Ah.
away. Yeah, you see as the balloon explodes, you see.
Yeah.
So
It makes a circle of the balloon. What was in the
Stop
balloon?
sticking to
Wait, hold on.
mate.
He can't shut up long enough, Adam. He's decided, having heard a couple of words from you, that he's going to fill in the rest of the blanks and talk through every word you say.
It's not gas. It's powder that's used in the construction of the balloon. It has a natural lining, like any latex glove.
It's the that's the balloon shape, Adam.
So, as I was
That's
saying,
because the
Spurs,
powder will be
gas is
stuck
invisible.
to the outside of the lining because the gas pressure in the balloon will have been forcing the molecules out. Yeah, they will tend to aggregate on the walls of the container because they're a solid and they're constant and they're very small, so they're constantly being subjected, a bit like the wind blows things, but they're constantly being blown to the edge of the container. So when the container explodes, you're going to have a container-shaped layer of dust in there, and then that will instantly collapse because of the surrounding gas pressure that you see that makes it collapse.
How will it collapse? It
Come on,
should
Spurs, let
expand.
me speak, dude. I've nearly finished. That will then collapse, and that's what you see there, which is the dust cloud created by the lining within the balloon.
Okay.
It's not gas, is it?
That's
Why
right.
would gas become suddenly visible?
Yeah, that's what happens in this region of the sky.
It
It
doesn't.
No, he
happens-
doesn't.
No,
Spurs, when I asked you, you said you could see it.
Presuppose that that is an imagination of what the gas within the balloon would look like. It isn't. But what wouldn't happen in reality is because you've taken the balloon away, the gas would become visible, even if that was a vacuum, would it? Which it can't be a vacuum, otherwise the balloon wouldn't have gone up into that area, would it? The surrounding area is getting to that level of density of the balloon, lower than the balloon, is it, to the point where the internal pressure is a lot greater than the external pressure. That's what's happening. But there's still pressure on both sides. Otherwise, the balloon wouldn't have got there, would it?
I'm just going to pull up another balloon.
It's carrying the weight of that
Yeah,
bottle.
zero acknowledgement. He hasn't
No.
acknowledged a word you said.
No, I mean, it's an opinion. It's an opinion.
Right.
We give our opinion.
It's not an opinion.
Right.
It's not
I
an
think
opinion.
Spurs
No,
is just
it's
trying
not.
to find the way back to the globe. He can't get on the globe without the flat Earth thing, without us giving him the pat
Excuse
on
me,
the back.
Elijah. When I was there
you
fighting
know what?
flat Earth
Everything that we were
5-6
speaking
years
about
ago, where
all
were
this
you,
time is
Elijah?
wrong.
What are you talking about? Back to the globe. I've been in this since
I
day one, Elijah. Where were
wasn't
you?
here. Yeah.
Yeah, where were you 5, 6, 7 years ago, Elijah?
Who cares?
That
So do you
doesn't-
concede
that
there's no...
That
Who
doesn't
cares?
matter
This is-
if I'm
Right,
just saying
so-
from
Yeah.
my perspective, it seems like you're trying to find your way back to the globe because every time
What globe,
I
Elijah?
hear an
Yeah, the
interaction
blue
with you,
pills
you're
first
trying to
email.
figure out a better argument for the globe side. I'm sorry, that's just what I see, man. Like, yeah, you know I like you, so I'm not really trying
Yeah,
to
but again, with no
static-
demonstration,
just an observation.
with no demonstration, it's just your opinion, isn't it? It's what you
No,
think.
you're sowing confusion.
No, it's not an opinion.
You're on purpose not understanding what is said to you.
No, actually,
You're so
I'm
confused.
bringing up conversations that everybody on this call has been there for.
Mhm.
So it's not like I'm just saying it out of my ass. We've all been there to have these conversations. Every time
Yeah.
I've spoken to you, I've also
Yeah, I
Arwen's
appreciate
been
the conversations. They're opinions, but I have in front of you a demonstration. I don't have to say much. I just have to say, look at the balloon burst. You see the gas within the
No,
balloon.
you say
No, you
no,
don't.
you say that's
He
the
doesn't
gas.
listen.
No,
See,
you
Spurs,
do it
every
Spurs,
time.
that's wrong.
I told you, Adam. He didn't listen to a single
That's-
word you said. He didn't acknowledge anything. He might have shut up, but he didn't listen, and he certainly didn't acknowledge it. And now he's just repeated the same crap.
Yeah, because you just have to say that you just said that it's our opinion that it's the dust inside of the balloon, and then you just go and say no, this is the gas that's inside the balloon.
Well, if I may, I can actually give a slightly altered explanation for it, and that is maybe some of the gas in that balloon is not perfect helium. Well, the more dense gas might actually have some kind of freezing response as it descends, because it will be descending until it gets closer to its relative density layer, and then it would dissolve.
But then it won't be a gas, will it?
Well, that's just
Well, it would-
nonsense, Arwen.
Is it?
If you're saying it's frozen, well then, yeah, no, it's not
How
going to
can
be gas.
the
at all.
gas isn't dense?
More
Arwen, is
dense
it?
gas.
The gas isn't more dense. The gas is all it's a homogeneous mixture, even in the balloon. There's not one more dense bit than the other. They're all moving freely and randomly.
So it would never be visible in that sense.
There's not a visibility. We're not trying to pretend that if we transition gases, when you evacuate a vacuum chamber, do you see things glowing and suddenly appearing? The remaining bits, as they, that's a phase change. You're seeing a solid there. It's quite clearly a powder. Look at it.
Okay. So another alternative, what if it was just slight water vapor that slipped in with it?
Of course, there might be a bit of water vapor in there. So all of it, yeah. But
Right.
so what? It's not. It's not a helium cloud, is it? The helium's not suddenly becoming opaque like talcum powder, is it?
Oh, no, obviously not.
But that's what you line latex with, so it doesn't stick together.
There's no void there, Spurs.
Look, you see the ball shape straight away, don't you? There's like a sphere of powder and then it coalesces and then dissipates in the very little wind that's there, but there's still air movement, isn't there? I don't see the problem.
Yeah, all that gas you can see.
Totally
Because
ignored
remember,
you.
the balloon.
Totally ignored you. Completely.
The gas
and
inside.
Totally ignored you.
Remember, the gas inside doesn't know the balloon has burst. It
I
still
love
thinks.
Spurs.
Gas
Yeah.
isn't visible, Spurs.
Okay.
We're not seeing gas.
So once we agree with you, then what? Where do we go from there?
Well,
Once
we
we
can all
agree
see
with
the gas
you,
there.
what
We can see
then? What is the conversation after we agree?
Well, what
Yeah,
it
then he
proves
can have
is
his
that
outer space
what this
as a
proves-
vacuum
Let's
next
just-
to the Earth.
What this
That's what he-
demonstrates is the whole gas pressure argument is non-existent. We can't demonstrate gas pressure. We can't measure.
Yeah, well done. Yeah,
gas
well
pressure.
done. You won. Well done. That was
And we
an
can't
excellent
prove
victory.
gas pressure.
Well done. Really clear
Shit
victory,
again.
Spurs. So you didn't show zero. You showed a very low amount of pressure that a balloon could go into and then burst because the differential was so big that the balloon couldn't withstand the pressure from within the balloon. That's all you've shown. And then
But the
claim that the
point-
powder's bloody gas.
the cork never shrank like we saw in low pressure. So that's not the core.
No,
the balloon never burst because of low pressure. The balloon burst because the exterior of it froze. That's all. If this was a stronger material, it would continue to rise. That's the only reason why it gets colder and colder, and the balloon now shatters like glass. And then we see the rest of the gas just do nothing. It doesn't rush.
No, it's reached the limit of its tensile strength, and the pressure of the gas within is forcing its way out. So no, it's not bursting because of low pressure, although that would be the reason the pressure within the balloon has exceeded the pressure outside the balloon. But that's a differential of pressure, and it's the pressure of the inside gases forcing their way out beyond the tertiary, what's it called? The fabric strength, tensile strength, beyond the tensile strength of the balloon. That's it.
Even if the balloon was freezing, let's give you that. Why is it exploding? It's not imploding. It's
the balloon
exploding.
Is not.
Why?
The only reason
Even though you're thinking that it's frozen.
Yeah.
So it's just falling apart.
At this point, if you were to put your finger, if this balloon didn't burst, for example, and you were to take it back to Earth in this state, it would be like a solid. Yes, it'd be like a solid balloon, like a paper mache.
It would shrink.
And then it burst.
Completely baseless assertion.
Yeah, but why is it the word being used is exploding?
It's a baseless assertion he's making, saying it's turning to
why
glass.
Is it doing that?
It didn't shatter.
Because you don't put something in the freezer and then it explodes after it freezes.
Can I jump in just real quick?
Sure.
It hasn't shattered. It's in ribbons. It's not shattering.
So here's
it's rippling all over the place. So
can I just jump in real quick?
Sure, go ahead, Travis.
Okay, thanks. So I think that I've heard Spurs say two things that no one else has picked up on, unless I'm making something of it that's not there. So just hold on real quick. So with the demonstration of the cork compressed, it constricted, right? And what Spurs is showing is that when you get to a higher altitude, we don't have constriction, but we have explosion. So we have two different phenomena with so-called, quote unquote, a vacuous state, right? Spurs, are those two observations that you're making? One is we see constriction, and the other one we see expansion.
No, with the cork, no, that's not the case. Don't. Yeah, well, it's close. In a vacuum, in a container, we see the cork shrink, and we see balloons expand. But here, we're not seeing an expansion. We're not seeing this gas pushing on the balloon as the cause of why it bursts. The reason why the balloon bursts is because of the temperature around it. If the temperature...
No, so you've ignored what I said then? Just completely ignored me? No. The gas inside the balloon is pushing out, and the tensile strength is exceeded, forcing the gas outside of the balloon, bursting it. Well, that's not it. You've just made again, I said it. It's my mic on. Baseless assertion. Why are you saying it's freezing and shattering? No, it isn't. And in terms of what's happening, it's exactly the same as what's happening to the cork. The gas that's inside the cork has to vacate. And when it does, it gets smaller. And what do you see here? The balloon was very, very big, and then the gas vacates and it gets much, much smaller.
Okay. So, I mean, I've looked at balloons burst, and obviously this is not consistent with how a balloon would burst on the Earth. And so this balloon, to me, has frozen. The temperature has dropped, and we can see that it's...
Have you ever tested it?
Baseless assertion times 3. Just going to completely ignore everything I say then. So everything anybody responds to you with is going to get ignored then, Spurs.
Yeah.
No, because we know it gets colder the higher you go.
And we know that the gas is going to get ever bigger. The balloon gets bigger as it goes up because it's stretching the balloon.
Yes, but why?
Hold on.
What's the cause?
The gas is expanding, making the balloon bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until it bursts. And then the gas
into what?
Forces its way outwards. That's what we've witnessed.
So why didn't the cork then, the air in the cork, why didn't that expand and shrink the cork?
It worked its way out of the holes, and then when it did, the structure wasn't being supported anymore. Just like this balloon in the next 3 frames won't be supporting its structure, and just like the cork, it's going to get a heck of a lot smaller, isn't it, Spurs? Just like the cork.
Right.
No, nothing happened to the cork.
Yeah,
If the cork was encased in rubber,
got smaller.
He thinks the cork is being he thinks that the cork is being compressed, but the cork is not actually being compressed. The air is just coming out of it, which is the opposite of what you're picturing.
Yeah, this balloon doesn't get compressed either, but it definitely gets a lot smaller, doesn't it? Like the cork.
The cork does not get smaller, does it? When we take
it did. Yeah, we watched it. It definitely did.
In
like
the
this
vacuum
balloon's about
chamber,
to do.
yes. In the vacuum.
Yeah.
In reality, where lower pressure was, it didn't.
In lower pressure.
Do you not understand why, Spurs?
Yeah, I'm asking you why. Why in lower pressure the cork didn't get smaller?
Do you want an explanation?
Yeah, give your opinion, Adam, please. Yeah.
Okay. So your best point in this whole video, I'll join Team Spurs for a minute, right? Your best point is, why didn't the cork pop? Because you've showed at vacuum low pressures
right,
that the cork shrinks. Now you would expect with that evidence that you presented first that when it went up to the lower pressure, the cork would have shrunk.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and therefore the internal pressure that has got slightly less resistance against it, so the cork would burst. Is that your
exactly, Adam? So you get the point. And because Nathan is saying, "Oh, we don't know the pressure," he's not giving a number.
Okay.
Well, that's up to him.
Okay,
if he doesn't want to go with, let Adam
finish his point. Let Adam finish his point. I'm sure he has more to say.
Can I ask him a question? Adam, is the cork a sealed container?
Well, no, unfortunately, because as demonstrated in the first video, this is the reason that. Well, there's 2 reasons, and the first and most important reason is that there's no order of magnitude still, or in fact there's about 1 order of magnitude, isn't there? You've gone from 2 orders of magnitude, yeah. So you've gone from 14 to 0.1 something, according to that data. So you've not got a massive amount in terms of orders of magnitude. Certainly nothing on the scale as demonstrated in the vacuum chamber. So that's the first point. So you're not going to expect necessarily the same level of shrinking. But when we described the nature of the cork in the first video that validated what we thought was going off, we admitted that it was lots and lots of micro straws running all the way through. Now, therefore, that cork is going to act as a very slow release valve. Okay, and part of that release rate is going to be the vaporization of the water that's in that bowl. That will hydrate and swell the cork. But also, because it is micro holes, I bet if you was to analyze that thing's probably gushing air out through the cork.
Well,
so all of the extra pressure that's there is going to start to be released as well, to be forced through the cork, because on the top layer, initially in that cork, it was at 14.7, and all the internal contents are at 14.7. As it slowly goes up, there will be a pressure change inside, so it will then start to act as a much better ventilator for the internal pressure difference, because there is that to consider in the bottom as well.
Could I just interrupt and say that when you actually put a cork into the bottle, to actually get it into the cork, they have to depressurize it. They have to squeeze it in there. That's why when you pull the cork out, it expands again and you can't get it back in. So the nature of them putting the cork inside the bottle anyway already removes that air, those air pockets that are inside there. That's why it's such a good fit and why bottles can last for years.
Yeah, but the top part hasn't been squeezed, has it?
Yeah, but that isn't going to affect the actual popping of the cork. That's not going to make the cork pop.
No, but the top part should at least shrink in size in low pressure. If you put that bottle right now in a vacuum, what do you think would happen?
Well, I don't know actually. I think the structure of the top of the cork is different to the structure of the core that they actually stick inside the actual bottle. which is why when you grab it, it doesn't change in size. But the actual stem of it, when it's released from the corked bottle, expands.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can figure out how they do that in the factory. They basically take an arm, a small arm. They have the cork in it. They grip. Yeah, they high pressurize it. Then they push it in there, and then let it go, and it starts to expand again. That would be the logical way to do it.
Shouldn't the gas in the champagne bottle want to fill the available space? So shouldn't that want to be forcing its way out?
But Spurs, let me just address one point first, just before we go on to that. You've addressed the shrinking at the top. What I would suggest, and I've talked about orders of magnitude, is what you need to do is actually look at that cork, not when it's taken down to a vacuum state, but look at it when you just take it down by 2 orders of magnitude, so down to 0.16 pressure. And I bet you wouldn't see, or you would see about the same level of change, next to nothing. Okay? It's the evacuation that causes the collapse of that structure, the evacuation of all the air within the structure. You're not doing that, and it's a very slow release. And more importantly, as I said, whatever's evacuating and dissipating due to entropy at the top is also being replaced at the bottom, as you were just about to get onto, with the gas pressure within there. Because it's not a totally sealed container, then entropy will take place. And the only way entropy can go easily, unless the amount of pressure is great enough to pop the cork, is through the microstructures within the cork. Now that process, because of the pressure differential on the outside, will be accelerated. I've done rambling.
Yeah.
Can I just add one more point? So once you pull the gas out of the chamber that the cork's in, the gas that's trapped inside the cork is going to try and make its way outside of the cork. Not for any other reason than it's just bouncing around. And eventually it'll bounce its way around the cork and make its way to a hole. So it's no longer in the cork, it's worked its way out. And as soon as it does, all it's going to do is forever bounce round inside that chamber, providing you're not still pumping gas out. So all that's going to happen is once the particle of gas leaves the cork, it just bounces all the way around the container. This is a 2-step process, Spurs. So do you understand that once the last remaining bit of off-gassing, or whatever they call it, out-gassing, has been done, the gas that's come out of the cork will just bounce around the chamber, right?
Hold on. I think this is just highly mistaken, because I think that my original assertion was correct.
Just got to give your opinion on what you think pressure and how molecules and how things work.
I'm asking you a question.
Yeah.
So you've got a tiny bit of gas stuck inside the cork. You evacuate the chamber, and it all squashes down, but there's still a little tiny bit of gas that's bouncing around inside the cork, and it just bounces and bounces and bounces, and eventually it works its way out. And once it's worked its way out of the cork, do you appreciate that it doesn't just bounce around the bottom? It just bounces around the entire container. Do you appreciate that?
So hold on, let me get this straight. You've got a vacuum. You've sucked the air out of the cork. You've got a little bit of air, you're saying, inside the cork. Or particle.
The little particle hasn't managed to be evacuated.
Right. So at that moment, then, nothing is bouncing, because the temperature would have dropped so much there was not enough energy for anything to bounce around.
I'm not talking about the temperature. I'm not talking about the temperature. Why do you do this? I'll say again, 3rd time. Alwyn will probably completely.
No, you asked me, do I agree? I say no, because nothing can bounce around once the temperature has dropped.
Oh, so you are of the opinion that little last gas particle that comes out of the cork as a little bit of off-gassing will sit at the bottom. Spurs will sit at the bottom of the chamber because it's cold. Is that what you think?
It won't go anywhere. Wherever it is, it will fall, or it will just stay wherever it is. Yeah.
Oh, right. You're wrong. Hold on.
Nathan.
Let me just tell
that's your opinion, Nathan. That's your opinion.
Oh, God. I'm not allowed, am I? I'm not allowed to make a conclusion, right? No, you're wrong, Spurs. That gas...
You keep saying I'm wrong, but
I'm trying to tell you why, but you won't shut up again. Have I got to start swearing at you again so I can actually make a concise point without you interrupting? Yeah, so I'll tell you why you're wrong, Spurs. If you'll let me and shut up long enough. That doesn't mean say, okay, I'm going to shut up. It means just keep your mouth shut. while I explain that the gas that comes out of that cork, the off-gassing that it does, will bounce around the chamber because gas moves freely and randomly in all directions and fills the available volume. So despite your misapprehension that somehow the temperature is going to make that gas fall to the bottom of the chamber, you are very, very much mistaken. That is not how gas behaves. It's moving freely and randomly at high speed in all directions to fill the available volume. So the gas will just bounce around in the chamber. It won't sit at the bottom. That's not what gas does, Spurs.
Spurs, can I just...
Like I said, I do appreciate the opinion that you're given, but the idea that gases bounce around, you could never in your life ever demonstrate that single molecule that's left in that core to do anything but sit where it is and do nothing in the low temperature that it's in. That's the fact. That's what happens when things...
No, it isn't.
Yeah,
that's wrong.
Nathan, can I just talk to you a sec, mate? Because what you've described there is, you know, when you talk about available microstates, this system that's set up is a really, really, really great example of microstates. Yeah, and in terms of availability, the one on the outside for any of the gas molecules contained in the cork to quickly escape from the matrix of the cork. Yeah, look at the cork. You can see the cork starting to come out. Look, there's a bit of pressure applied.
That's because the parachute pulls it out, Adam.
As the parachute pulls it out.
Yeah, read. And he says the champagne starts to freeze up from the inside as well.
You can certainly see some clouding. The point I'm making is, there you poplar. So there comes a point, look.
Yeah, the parachute, Adam, rewind it. Look at the parachute.
So then, if that's the case then, Spurs, then your whole point is negated because the cork does shrink and you do get entropy forcing its way through. So what's the problem?
It does the exact same thing, Spurs.
Adam, how can it go into higher pressure and shrink?
No, Spurs, your point's just been invalidated by demonstration because this cork did the same.
How can it go into higher pressure?
How come on its way down at 200 miles an hour?
Time for a new question, Spurs. Spurs, time for an acknowledgement that you've made a completely crap point that's been debunked in your own...
Opinion,
Spurs, but not my opinion. Spurs. Try to
appreciate your opinion.
Try to have some humility rather than continually saying that you appreciate my opinion.
Adam,
you have claimed that it won't shrink. Yeah? It does. That's how it comes out of the bottle, Spurs, because it shrunk a little bit. So this completely invalidates your claim. So are you going to have some humility or tell me it's my opinion when it's demonstrated in this video?
Okay, so can you read? The liquid melts, increases the pressure. That is the cause of the cork coming out. Nothing to do with cork shrink.
Hang on, why are you believing what they say?
So even though you've demonstrated...
Say again.
Yeah, rewind it, Adam. It tells you what in pink, if you can read it.
Spurs, I'm totally on the flyer. I've never seen this before, so what?
Yeah, read it at the bottom. First of all,
let me finish.
Frozen liquid melts and increases the pressure on the cork. Right. That's the reason
why.
What
they're saying. Just look at what's happening. So the first thing is I conceded that it's freezing, which it will do. Now, the first point of that is there's water in there, isn't there? So instead of like most other substances, the water will actually expand in volume. You won't it? Have you ever put a bottle of wine in the freezer? I have. Made many a mistake, yeah? Cork pops out if it freezes.
Mm-hmm. Naturally, yeah. From inside
so any inference you want to draw about your first experiment is negated by the way you've set this experiment, as you would maybe like to allude it to. Mm-hmm. It's negated by the non-control systems that basically force the cork out because you lower the temperature, the water expands and it forces the cork out anyway, irrespective of any pressure differentials, which can be demonstrated by me putting a bottle of wine in the freezer. Yeah? So there's no inference you can draw from any
of Adam, there's no argument. There's no argument. I mean, again, it's just an opinion we have.
No, I'm saying
we have the guy's explanation on the video. We have Nathan's opinion. We have your opinion, and we have my opinion.
You wanted this to be an opinion about gas pressure when it really had nothing to do with that.
Yes, until we have an actual demonstration.
It had nothing to do with gas pressure at all. We could have skipped all of that and spoken about the pressure inside of the bottle from the liquid going from it going from a frozen state to a liquid state. That's what this conversation should have been about. This is really maddening because I came on the call for something else.
Yeah, thank you for your opinion. I appreciate your opinion.
Specifically because you said that Kosho didn't say. I just wanted to correct something, but continue. When you guys are done, I would like to.
Yeah, so what this video demonstrates is that the higher you go, the temperature, the pressure doesn't drop. Otherwise, the cork would have reduced in size and the pressure from the inside would have exploded, trying to fill the available space. It didn't try to fill the available space because the pressure there cannot be measured. The pressure can't be measured down here, can't be measured up there. We just assume there is a press without a force. And for me...
Sorry, we can measure it.
You're a terrible liar, wizard.
Sorry, it was measured. You showed us how much it was measured at.
Yeah, that's the globular reasoning. I don't believe that nonsense.
So what you're saying is the chart that you presented, you're actually trying to debunk that chart then?
Yeah, I'm showing to the globe earthers that there's no gravity, there's no pressure, things are not colliding.
There is pressure. Well, then you're wrong. You're just making up shit.
Yeah, that's your opinion, Nathan.
Not my opinion.
You're insane, Spurskimo, and you don't listen to anything.
Yes, you're
worse than a globe seller.
Arwin. We're giving our opinion.
Worse than a globe seller.
No, we're not giving our opinion. We're stating things as fact. So are you, but you're just wrong.
Well, how do you measure gas pressure in the atmosphere? By what means?
Sorry, I'm not making a claim in this regard, but what you have shown in your demonstration and your measurements was that there is gas pressure there, and there is. Because if there wasn't, the balloon couldn't have reached that point.
Of course it would. It's just temperature. Heat rises.
No, not temperature. The pressure from within inside the balloon that forced its way outside when the tensile strength was exceeded of the balloon.
That's heat rising.
No, it's not. No, don't just assert that it's something other than what I've just said, having not acknowledged a word I've said. No, it's the pressure inside the balloon forcing its way out, increasing the pressure on the inside of the balloon until the tensile strength of the balloon is exceeded. That's what called, not temperature. Don't just ignore me and then assert something completely different.
I'm not. That's your opinion, but we know
that
the higher you go, the colder it gets, and that temperature inside the balloon was a lot warmer than the outside.
Why do you keep saying it's my opinion?
That warmer temperature was tried to reach the colder to the
that's just what. So I said, don't just assert something else. That's your opinion.
Not an assertion.
What I'm saying isn't my opinion. That's not my opinion.
It's relative temperature disequilibrium. That's what we're looking at.
No, it's not temperature disequilibrium.
It's relative temperature.
No, you're wrong. You're just spouting nonsense over the top of me having not acknowledged.
Back up what I'm saying.
No, you haven't given us any
You're saying we have
whatsoever.
Gas pressure without a demonstration.
No, you haven't. Spurs. You haven't given us a single temperature reading. What you have done is shown us
you don't need
gas
a reading.
pressure.
You can feel it.
You can just feel it, can you? Were you there? Were you with that balloon? Were you riding your way up there? Were you riding up with that balloon, feeling it? Were you, Dick
Do you
Brain?
feel pressure?
Were you feeling it in that balloon? Were you, Dick Brain? Were you up on that balloon, dickhead? Moron. Are you stupid? Were you flying with that balloon, feeling that cold? Were you, moron?
Colder when you go higher, yes.
Yeah, was that what happened in your demonstration? Or was your demonstration talking about pressure and had fuck all to do with temperature? Because that's a baseless assertion you're making after the fact. Having been debunked by people who know what they're talking about. The gas pressure inside the balloon expanded beyond the tensile strength of the balloon. Now, you're not going to acknowledge it. You'll ignore it and just assert your baseless assertion without having ignored anything that I've said. You won't pay attention to a word of it.
I'm not my opinion. It's your opinion. But until you provide a demonstration that there is pressure, it's just your opinion. Just like anyone else who says there's curvature, it's their opinion. There's rotation, it's their opinion. Until they can demonstrate and show this to be true. We can't have people just saying it is because it is. That's what we're trying to get away from. We're not trying to go back to the globe idea of just accept it. I mean, you should have heard George the other day. I was in George in the Discord, and they were going mathematical equations. They're like, he was like, Spurs, just accept it. Just accept it.
We're not interested in your
schema. We don't want to go to your safe space, pressureless world, okay? We want to go to reality. If you don't like pressure, that's your problem.
It's denying the existence of gas pressure. That's what he's doing.
Ranty, could I just maybe bring it back to a bit of mathematics? Because I've just been
you
doing
can,
a bit of geeking. Is that all right?
Yeah, sure.
So I talked about what I thought there was happening, which is basically the consequence of a phase change due to rapid temperature decrease, which is water turning into ice. So I've quickly looked it up, and the volumetric increase is basically 9%. So if you were to take a 750ml average bottle of wine, these figures come to hand very easily. That would be an increase to 817 cubic centimeters. And I've just quick looked up the amount of air gap that's left in a wine bottle, and that turns out to be between 5 and 10 mil. So even if we were to double that, we've got a massive amount there of reason why the cork will be forced out, which is basically due to the water freezing inside the bottle. And because you've in any kind of test like this, because you've got such a massive margin of error, something that is more than sufficient for pushing the cork out, unfortunately any inference you try to draw from that is bunkum, because you've introduced a margin of error, i.e. you've not controlled the variable of temperature, okay, and you can see the consequent effect of manipulating just that variable on its own, like I said, by putting a wine bottle, put a bottle of champagne in the freezer and watch its cork pop. So any results are irrelevant, because the only thing you're going to observe is the effects of the expansion of water when it freezes and turns to ice.
Yeah, I don't think you're ever going to visibly see any gases up there at that height, that's for sure. So, Spurs, okay, so you've not been on Nathan's for a while, because obviously you two butt heads. And I've seen that you have started a new channel, so I'm just going to pop that up so that people can have a quick look-see. It's called Under No Pressure, so if you've liked what Chemo's been talking about this evening, head on over there. He does his own little videos. He's put, 5 or 6 up in the past week, so if you're enjoying his kind of take on things, go head over there. We've got Arwin on the panel. He does his early bird show every day, 1 p.m. London time. So he does his early bird 1 p.m. till 2 p.m, which is just before Nathan does his live show. We've got Nathan Oakley on the panel, Nathan Oakley and Nathan Oakley 1980. 2 channels there to go and subscribe to. And we've got The Plain Truth, but I think he's changed his name. Are you still there, Travis? Hello? No, he's gone. But yeah, Travis, Plain Truth. We've got the Adam Meakin. Adam, are you on tonight with Iron Realm?
Yeah, I got a interesting show tonight, actually, mate. Got Cammy on. One of my little mini passions as well. We're going to have a little chat about rhesus negative blood typing. Maybe dispel a couple of myths from, hopefully. So we've got that, and then a little chat. Cammy's going to teach me a few things about reading the moon in terms of the time of the month and the time of the year. So I'm looking forward to a bit of a heads up on that one, because I know nothing about in terms of. So yeah, that starts at 11 o'clock on I'm Real Moody. That's Have No Sphere.
Oh, good stuff. And we're also joined by Elijah. He joined the panel first time we've spoken, actually. Sent me a super chat to actually ask if he could join the panel, which, yeah, no problem with that. And here he is. Do you have a channel, Elijah?
No, I don't have a.
Hello?
Yeah, you said you didn't have one.
Right, okay.
I think I just want to say, look, there's no animosity with me with Nathan. I mean, I love what Nathan does, how he breaks down the globe argument and shuts them down, extremely quickly. So, obviously, like you say, I haven't been on there because this question here, this pressure question, takes hours and hours of the platform of the show. And obviously, you have to get through the housekeeping questions and whatnot. So, I understand, that idea of this one question taking over an entire show is not what it's all about. So that's why that's why I made that channel. So hopefully I'll be able to have discussions on there and things like that. But yeah, I mean, like I say, it's I really like what Nathan does. I wish he would get out there and do a bit more activism.
Right, okay, this isn't the place for making the digs though. Surely, I want to do a shout out to SX0 because this might be for you. It is in front of your eyes and you can't see it, just like ballers. The point here is that air is not pressurized at ground level. So that was his super chat, $5 super chat right there. Yeah, but I am gonna listen, guys. I'm gonna wrap up because we've had over an hour of this gas pressure talk again, and it makes me understand why when Nathan sort of banned it on his channel about 3 months ago, I can understand why, because it doesn't seem to go anywhere. It's like it goes one way and then it comes back again, and Spurs, you don't tend to listen very much.
It's all opinions, isn't it? It's an opinion until we can get an actual demonstration. So I'm fine with that. I appreciate all the opinions. But again, it's not for something that I would argue about. It's just if someone thinks something, that's just what they think.
I think Nathan's going to bring his premiere forward, so that might be just ideal actually, because if he brings his forward, then Iron Realm Media, who will be going live at 11, will have just started their show. So I think it'll all fit in quite well if I
and we always ramble for a bit, Ranty, so don't worry.
Does that make sense?
Spurs, I love you, mate, but with regards to opinions, there appears to be everybody else, ballers and flat earthers, and then you on this topic. And
I'm getting it from both
I love
sides.
you, dude, but you're driving me insane.
And it's driving everyone insane. It's driving.
No, it's you that's driving me freaking insane.
Yeah, you're doing it, man.
It's driving
You're doing
everybody.
this. It's just you.
All earthers, flat earthers, everyone sees.
But you know what? But you know what, Spurs? But you know what, Spurs? I respect that you follow your heart, because I mean, there's a lot of things that I question. However, it's not like I would come on to a show like Ranty Show or any of you guys' shows and say, hey, this is what I know as fact. I would, have my own thoughts, and I might play around with it for a while. It might take me 2 months before I say, hey, this is my opinion. And I'm not going to be married to it to where someone, shoots it down with some thought that I haven't thought about in that 5 months, I just think that there's a difference between opinion and objectivity. However, I respect that you're on this quest because you might find an answer that stumps us all. So I don't know. I'm going to check your channel out.
Okay, thank you.
Good luck.
Right, anybody want to say anything before I wrap up?
Yeah, I do.
Go ahead, Owen.
Right, yeah, so Spurs Schemo, it's so very nice you want to gather people's opinions, but you gather opinions like you gather presents without actually unwrapping them and just thinking, oh, it looks so nice, but you don't actually look into it, so it's not much of getting people's opinion or respecting them. And on the other hand, much of what you do is you're being very misleading in nature. Seriously, dude, do something about it, because you're inserting these statements, no pressure, zero pressure. You've done it 3 or 4 times within the entirety of your explanation, got caught on it, then backtracked, then did it again, and got caught again, backtracked. You keep on doing this. So it seems like you're compulsively trying to mislead us. And I really don't like that. So that was what I wanted to say.
Nathan.
All I've got, that's it.
I would like to add to that, and by bringing it back to the reason that I got put on the call in the first place, because yesterday Nathan was called racist. Now this is what happened. The moment everybody got off of the chat is the moment. I think her name is Twix or Trix. She came in and she says, but did anybody hear Nathan call him boy? That was racist. And so, as I think Adam thoroughly explained, there's a difference when you have different lineage, you have a different, when you're brought up in a different place,
different things just mean different things. One insult somewhere may not mean the same thing somewhere else. So you can't hold them to that standard. That's what I was trying to say to that girl. But the problem with Kosho is he was doing what Ranty just said. Like he's wrapping a gift and he's just letting it stay there without looking into it. Hey, because he's like, I didn't say that Nathan was racist, but I'm not going to say he's not racist when that was never the conversation. The girl called him racist for what he said, and he wouldn't denounce what she was saying. That was the issue with me, how I felt towards Kosho. It's like, dude, he's not being racist because me being black, Chocolate being black, Redman being black, the other people, there was like a Glober dude that is also black, and none of us knew that Kosho was black. And I also apologize for that.
I wear all black.
Black people say, hey, I didn't know you was black.
The only person's colour that came into this whole argument where any prejudice was expressed, as we've explained, Nathan was talking perfectly in a very different set of terms that was, unfortunately, by people what appears to be of multitude of different colours, they, unfortunately, expressed their prejudice when they misinterpreted Nathan's words. That was the only, not racism, but prejudice. They prejudged the situation, based on, unfortunately, what would only appear to be the colour of Nathan's skin.
And that's very true, because when we asked, how do you know Nathan is racist, if we don't even yet know, if we don't know if he knows whether or not Kosho is black, and they said, well, because you don't know, you just shouldn't say anything that could potentially be racist. That's
right. Yeah, what a load of nonsense.
Yeah, no worries. Right, okay. Well,
just before you do. So I'm going to start the debate the second you round out your show, just so people know. Spam the link.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. I was about to say that we got 120 watching, so if everybody kindly pisses off and goes over and watches Nathan's show, that would be very much appreciated. And then after you've done that, go and tune in to Iron Rail Media. Iron Rail Media, dead easy to find. I'm sure Nathan will spam the link again there. Their show will be starting at 11 o'clock. Camille will be turning up to do a little bit of a chit-chat as well. So, I'll see you all, guys. Everybody finished? Everyone gone?
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no worries.
Cheers, guys. Thanks, Randy.
Ta-da. Nice one. Catch you later.
No worries. Right, I'll see you all in the next one.
Oh, Brian just popped in. Was that Brian from yesterday?